Ready?
This is Nicole. Welcome to Beyond the Grind.
Let's talk about it.
Not past
Not past
me.
me.
Go
Bye.
ahead. Sometimes it be like that. Welcome back.
Welcome back.
Are we locked and loaded?
We are. That was my drum roll. Okay, so.
Well, we just had to restart over because the mics was off.
Yeah.
And then Nicole said something where she said, no, I said that everything happens for a reason.
Amen.
But then you said something that made me think.
What?
Because after I said everything happens for a reason, I said except death. Then you said something.
I said even that happens for a reason.
Now we got to.
Go ahead.
No, because you're going to try. We got a couple of things we're going to talk about today. But this is one of them that I think we should start talking about because.
Well, go ahead.
I just want to understand why you believe.
Death happens for a reason?
Yes.
Okay, one. I spiritually, I look at death very different. And I would have to question, like when you talk about death and God deciding that even if it's not in his will, right?
Mm-hmm.
All things work together for his good.
Right.
All things work together for your good. And so I feel as though God's will for us, right, maybe to have like a long life. And there's sometimes we make decisions that lead us into a faster expiration date.
Mm-hmm.
But the fact that he allowed it to happen. So if I have to question, I don't question the sovereignty and the divinity of God. So for me, when death happens, I don't question why he allowed it to happen, even if it's something hard for me to process. So I don't look at it as a mistake. Was it in his will for kids to be in school and get shot up? No, that wasn't in his will.
Right.
But did he allow that to happen? Yes. And that I can't question because now I'm going to question how sovereign he is. And I don't do that.
So I really like your response, but I have a lot of thoughts in my mind about it. I'm thinking about like Angie Stone, you know, she just died.
Yeah.
Right. She was just out of 9 people. She was the one that left.
Yeah.
9 people that get hit by a truck, a big truck, a Mack truck,
18-wheeler. Yep.
18-wheeler. She's the one that left.
Mm-hmm.
And then, yes, I agree with what you're saying about like some people based on the decisions that they make, that get diseases and die, drug overdoses, and all these different things. But I just don't understand like why. Like when we talk about everything happens for a reason, like I'm just trying to understand what was the reason for that death. And you also said, you used the word long life, right?
Yeah.
So like, why would a mother go through getting pregnant, going through birth, and then the baby coming out to be a stillborn? That's not a long life.
I agree.
Why?
Well, one, me saying that it's still everything happens for a reason, I don't have to know the answer to all those questions. The same way when you think about, you tell your child to do something, right? And it's not the response of because I said so. It's because, let's say you're stopping her from her balls rolling in the street, right? And you understand that by telling her not to run out. Let's say there's no cars coming at all. So that's why I went to change the scenario. There's no cars coming at all, but you know that if you start the pattern of her running out in the street to run after something, there's going to be a point in time where there could be a car coming. So you're telling her no, because right now it's not that it's not safe to do, right? Because technically there's no harm in the way. It's because you know there could be. But when you say no, you don't give her all of that because you're the parent, because you know what's best. So there's a reasoning behind your no. It's just the fact of it's not for the child to understand at all times or even have the answer. That's how I look with God. When he says no and he speaks, I don't have to know the answers because I'm not him. And sometimes I feel like as humans, we always have to figure out like, but why? Answer my question. This. Well, then that means that we're now equivalent to him. and we need to take his job, because if we knew all the answers, then we would be him. I don't need to know all the answers. I trust God enough with my life and the things that I have experienced to say, like, I may not understand it, Lord, but as long as you do, that's what I trust. Right. Because your resume and your track record has never disappointed me, even when the world has. So that's just a me thing. It makes it very easy for me not to go in this rabbit hole of having to have the answers, because sometimes even if you find the answer, it may not be good enough.
Right.
So instead of me deciding on now whether God's decision was right or wrong, I'd rather just rest with the fact of knowing, like, you know what, Lord, I trust you. I trust your decision.
There's a lot of movies out there, like Final Destination.
Okay.
There's movies where, like, Tom Hanks, who you know is like one of my favorite actors.
Your life is like a box of chocolates.
That's my favorite movie. That Forrest Gump. Yeah. But he did Castaway.
Rest on the fact that that was a good impersonation, though.
It was a good impersonation.
Thank you. Okay, Castaway. Yes.
So he was the only one, you know, Wilson. He was the only one that survived the plane crash, right? Yeah. All those other people was supposed to die. So I'm going to ask you a question, but then I'm also going to make a statement before I ask the question.
Okay.
Because when we think about, like, survival of the fittest, so for example, if you was to leave this office right now and you saw a turtle in the parking lot, walking where the cars would drive, would you move the turtle or kick it out the way?
Unfortunately, yes. So
you're getting in the way of God's will for the car to kill the animal. That's my question. Do you think you can get in the way of the will of God? Like, for you, like, I asked the question, I said, okay, but you said everything happens for a reason.
Yeah.
So if it was the turtle's reason to be walking in the street at the time that it was walking in the street, and for a truck to run it over, it was God's will for it to happen.
You're saying something completely wrong. So I didn't say it was God's will. I said everything happens for a reason, even sometimes if it's not his will. Like, of course.
Okay. Yes, you did say that.
Thank you. Yes, that's why I would intervene, because one, I'm not a big, I love nature, right? But I'm not a big animal person. The reason I would intervene is because if I have the ability to prolong life, because I feel as though I value what God created, which was life.
Right.
He created the heavens and earth. And if you think about everything that God actually created, not what man created, because everything that God created was life, plants living, humans living. God created life. So I value life. He allowed us to create things like houses that's not alive. You know what I'm saying? So for me, I value what God values, which is life. So if I have an opportunity to intervene without harming my life, then yes, I'm going to do that. And I value human lives even more so than I do animal life. So if I have an opportunity to intervene in that capacity, I'm going to, because I value what God values, which takes me back to, I trust what God has ultimately decided. Even if it's not favorable, even if I don't like it, I trust it, because you think about it, Job in the Bible, right?
Yep.
When he lost everything.
Yep.
When he literally lost his children, he lost everything. He even physically was so sick.
But
he did not curse God and die.
All. Right.
His wife said, just curse God and die.
And what happened because of
that?
God
gave him double fold.
There you go.
So that's why it's like, if in this moment, it doesn't have to be favorable where I have to understand it. I understand God's track record has never failed me. That's enough for me to say, I trust him.
You done dropped the mic. And you got a handless mic.
I did. I preached.
Now here's the question, because I'm so glad you said all those things.
Oh God!
As I was thinking yesterday, I said to myself, and this is the question for you, because as I was taking Christian to school today, I said, "Look at that, buddy! It was a bad car accident right across the street," and we saw. Maybe about 10 cop cars, and it looked like they might have used like the jaws of life and all these different things. So I was thinking, based on everything that you just said, say you were driving your car and it caught on fire
Okay.
And your whole family was inside the car, all 3 of your kids and your husband.
Mm-hmm.
And you got out. You see? And you got out, and you look back, and the car was still in flames.
Okay.
Who you going to save out of all of them? Now, now you got 3 different kids in the car.
Can it just be one of my kids in the car, like the other 2 are home?
No, this is the scenario where you got all the kids in the car, and you have to save one of them.
I'm not, okay, so, wow. 1, I don't like you. 2, in that moment, right, I'm going to answer from an honest point of view.
Mm-hmm.
When I go out driving, whenever I'm with my whole family, I take on that as like, you know, some people like, I like riding around. I feel like I'm riding around in a weapon at all times. So in my mind, when I go out, and it's like, it's never a thing of like just freely going out without me already thinking about like, all right, if we're on a bridge and this happens, like that's how my mind works. So when I'm always out, I have already in my mind figured out a way of, if I had to save everyone who's in here with me, how can I do that? It's weird, but that's literally how I work.
But the flames are getting higher.
The flames are so let me go to your,
and the door handles are starting to burn off.
So let me go to your question. So in that moment, 1, I probably wouldn't have gotten out the car yet to see that they're left in there, because my instinct would be first to see who's in there first. Like I'm not getting out first unless I was ejected from the car and I was able to turn back and be like, okay, let me go back and save them.
Well, you were ejected from the car.
Okay, so that was out of my hands. All right, cool.
And now you got to go back there. And the flames are getting higher. And the 3 kids are in the back, and your husband's in the front on the driver's side.
Oh
Who are you saving?
Okay. Oh my God. This is emotional. It is. I feel like I want to cry for your first podcast. I want to cry on. That is such a hard question that I don't know if I honestly have that answer right now. In my logical mind, right? I would think, let me possibly save the youngest, whoever the youngest would be. I don't, and that's like in my logical mind, and it may not make sense if I could only save one kid,
right?
Because I can't imagine. No, I probably wouldn't even save the youngest. In that situation, I might have to save my husband, because I don't know if I could choose between the 3. Or it would be the thing if I didn't think that they could get out.
Right.
And if I didn't think I could save them all, then we're going to all have to go down as a family. Because I honestly, like now I'm sitting here thinking, I don't know. I can't choose one of my children over the other. I know, like, how anyone who knows me knows how deeply I love. And I can't choose.
But so remember,
we'll be in there together. Like I'm just sitting in.
Everything happens for a reason.
Every day. And
remember, we started this dialogue.
So because God is giving me that opportunity to decide, I'm either going to burn up trying to save all 3 of them, but not picking one over the other is not the option.
Okay, so now we hear different stories on the internet where a young lady is asked a question if she's on a boat and her kids fall in the water and her husband falls in the water, who she's going to save.
And so I think the example was her child, so it was just one kid.
Well, in this case,
don't give me children, give child and man.
Okay,
thank you.
We'll give you child, but I want you to look at it from a
man's
interpersonal perspective, to say, like, all right, if this really occurred, because their example was just one child and her husband, but a lot of our viewers have multiple kids.
Okay.
So in this example, if you were on a cruise, your children fell in the water and your husband, they can't swim, but you can.
I swim really well.
Who you saving?
It's going to be one of my kids. I probably would not choose my husband in any situation to save over my kids the same way I wouldn't want him to choose me.
Why?
Because honestly, I look at it as I had the opportunity to live life. If I can give an opportunity for my children to experience life, that's our goal, right? For me, I'm 35. So at this point, if I'm in the water, I've lived 35 beautiful years. Let me go and try to and save them, you know? Even when it came to giving birth, I was very explicit with, if it's a thing of who to choose, don't choose me. Choose the baby. If they say, we can only save one, don't choose me. Choose my baby. Now,
do you think a lot of people would do that? Because that's just a whole nother situation. It's like, okay,
I don't know if he would have. I don't know if he would have. I don't know if he would have listened.
It's like, oh, because God, I'm hopeful that should be able to bless you to have another child.
Yeah.
But it's only one of you.
That is true, but
so
there's still only one of them. So even though I have more than one child, it still won't be that child. You get what I'm saying?
But the child can't come unless you as the parent.
That is correct. And I can only think as a mom, being the current mom that I am, I will give my life for my children. So in this situation, most times I feel like there's a black and white. I don't think that there's a right or wrong, because what would be who would you save? I'm gonna give you who it is. It's Liliana. It's Liliana.
Mm-hmm.
It's Christian and Jessica.
Well,
who are you saving?
Well, I guess.
Help me, Daddy. That's me drowning. Help me.
And I thought about this over and over and over again.
Yeah.
And that's why when we started talking about this, and it organically came up, like, where it's just like when you talked about everything happens for a reason, right?
Yeah, I agree.
So, like, I feel like if everything happens for a reason, and all of them fell off the boat, but I'm not off the boat yet.
Mm-hmm.
They're in the car burning up, but it's the reason why God threw me out.
Mm-hmm.
So I got to make a decision.
Yeah.
So, and I thought about this over and over and over again. And my decision is organically, whoever is the closest and the one I can save first.
Mm-hmm.
That's my answer to this.
Mm-hmm.
That's my answer to it.
And I personally don't think that's wrong. So when you go back to everything happening for a reason, right?
Because one of them could have came out.
You're right, but that just means that whatever the outcome is, I may grieve it, but I won't question it. So even if I only had the opportunity to save, well, I don't want to use me because I don't like putting stuff in the atmosphere. But what if there was a Mary Beth who had the opportunity to save only her youngest child, right? Then I feel as though, even as crushed as she may be, you have to realize, like, okay, everything happened for a reason.
Right.
So I'm not going to live a life of, in a sense, dealing with regret and questioning why this happened to me, because it happened to me. I don't understand the reason. I don't like the fact that it did happen to me, but it happened for a reason. And I don't think that that's the part where it's like, that's tragic, right? It's so tragic.
Yeah.
But I don't question the fact that God still allowed it. If you think about it, every second of the day, someone's dying.
Yes.
Someone's losing their life. And
Nas said that. Nas said that.
Did he?
You know, you gotta start listening to music. Okay. Nas said it's the beginning and the end. Like, every time that someone dies, a life is created.
Yes. So to me, it's like, in this world that we live in, when people die, it's not in always the most prettiest, peaceful way. Some people are dying like some really tragic deaths and all these things. Like, for instance, in my family, like, my great grandmother was murdered, right? Like, tragically murdered.
That's sad. I'm sorry to hear that.
No,
I didn't even know that.
Yeah. So when I think about even my grandmother and everything that her siblings had to experience, knowing that her mom was murdered, right? I've never once heard her question like the why. Because if you sit in that, right, it can make you go down this tailspin that God made a mistake. No, that human made a mistake by doing something and not valuing life. But the fact that God allowed it to happen, there has to be something in here I was supposed to learn. Like there's something I can get, not I'm supposed to, but something I can grow from, something I can learn from in this season. And for me, if I survive something like that, I would pray once I get through the grief period, I will live every day of my life valuing the fact that he spared me. So you probably will find a person who won't be reckless, even though I feel like I'm not reckless now because I value life. So sometimes that can almost ignite you to feel like every moment of my life I will spend showing how much I value it because that could have been me.
Do you think in a situation like that, well, first off, I had to think of the Nas verse when you said that. He said,
so look at me rapping, not even knowing that. Like,
because Nas was a poet. He said,
yeah,
he said, freedom or jail cell, a clip is inserted. The same moment a man is murdered, it's the beginning and end. So he's saying like somebody got killed and then a baby was born. That's just my Nas moment. Yeah.
All right.
So
plug. That was good.
I didn't write it.
I know, but that's a plug because we can cop the album and whatever you stream that album on, then that site can come to us for money because we just promoted that.
Yeah, we hooked Nas up.
Right.
But he did it.
Yeah.
Do you think that whatever comes to your mind in a situation of I'm gonna use it when one of these kind of situations occur, like the kids fall off the boat, the husband falls off the boat, you're just in a frantic state. Some people panic, some people freeze, some people don't move. Do you think that in this situation, whatever steps you took first was the right steps? But do you think that sometimes people can change that and alter the decision? So, for example, if you saw all three of your kids in the water and then your husband, and then you said, "Oh my God, my kids," Jay, and then you started going to Jay, and you're like, "Hold on," and then you go to the kids. Do you think you could have made the wrong decision?
I mean, I think that you're
not even just you, but people in general.
You're going to the final destination kind of feel like, could you have changed the destiny of something by doing the one act? And that's where I have to say, once again, because I'm very grounded spiritually, where there's a part in the Bible that says, before the foundation of the earth, right? So that means before earth
was even built,
was even created, or even thought of within his 7 days of thinking it. He already knew that this moment would happen, right? So for me, it's like, in my mind, I want to think that me intervening changed something, but God already told me before the very foundation, before I was even placed in my mom's womb, he already knew that today was going to happen. So there's not, that can give me peace in saying I couldn't have made the wrong decision, because ultimately, once again, let's go back to sovereignty and him being divine and being majesty, right? He's already made that decision. That takes the pressure off of me.
He's an on-time God.
He is. Yes, he is. But honestly, so I think if we start resting in enjoying our moments now, doing everything we can to value our now, because this next second is not promised, and knowing that every day that he chose to wake you up, someone else didn't.
Right.
I think that will set the pace for the rest of our lives and for the rest of our day. That's what I have.
No, I mean, yeah, I like what you have. I mean, I'm picking up what you're putting down right there.
Hot diggity dog.
I think that if more people understood and knew that, they would work different with their lives, though.
100%.
I mean, even us, like the value of like time, like who you sharing it with, who you're giving it to, like you said to me earlier, you was like, Eddie, I really appreciate you. And I said to you all the time, like, I appreciate, we learn from each other, we grow together. And I just think that when you value time and you really understand that it's like, yes, it's infinite, but it's not infinite for us.
Exactly.
Because just like you just said, at some point, God already knows the plan. The day that we're going to leave here, those that are going to leave before us that we love. And I guess my thought to that is, why is death so hard when you ultimately understand what you just stated that you understand? So when you lose somebody you completely love, that took care of you, that raised you, that you raised, that you grew up with, why is it so hard if you understand that God's will be done?
Because I don't feel as though acknowledging the truth isn't the absence of emotion. So just because I am experiencing missing that person and knowing that the new experiences I have, they won't be here to share with me, it doesn't negate the fact that I still trust the plan that God ultimately has. God created us. You think about when God sent his son to die for us, right? If he wanted to, God didn't have to sacrifice. He didn't have to send Jesus to, this is if you do believe in it. He didn't have to send him to he could have just sent him just to save us. But he sent him to live a life that we will experience. So when he's going to the Father on our behalf of saying, but I paid for this for them. I gave my blood for them. I experienced what they feel. Because I don't think that in humans, we were supposed to be absent of emotion and feelings. We were created to do that. We were created to feel. So it's okay that you're sad. It's okay that you will miss a person. It's okay that you will also mourn the fact that you're never going to have these moments to build with them. That is all okay. There's nothing wrong with grief. There's nothing wrong with anger. There's nothing wrong with that. Even the Bible says be angry. It just says, but don't sin. But be angry. Feel what you feel. It's always what we do with those feelings. So I don't feel as though just because you miss a person, like for you just lost your grandmother not so long ago, right? Sorry. And it's feel what you feel. She helped raise you. Right. You've experienced a lot of loss. It's not for you to not be okay with missing them and to still be sad about them not being here, but it didn't stop you from living your life. You still value, the man who's sitting across from me is a man who I see values life. Yes. And you value the ones that also are in your life. That's the true flex with going through everything that you've experienced.
Well, thank you.
You're welcome.
So do you believe, because I saw on the news, they have chambers that people can freeze themselves and stay alive now. And it's located in Phoenix, Arizona or somewhere like that.
In their minds, if they're prolonging it, sure.
Yeah, they're going to bring them back to life.
No. But when I say prolonging it, because it's not going to give them eternal life. It's slowing their process. Yes. You still have an expiration date.
Because Michael Jackson's frozen, ain't he? Michael Jackson's frozen, and the guy that created the Muppet Babies, they're both frozen.
I have no idea, but what I will say is this. I'm not trying to live on Earth for eternity either. I'm not trying to stop my aging. I want to age gracefully. That's the whole cycle of life, and I don't want to manipulate that cycle because I appreciate it. So when it's my time to go, get me out of here, and no, I ain't trying to come back. When it's my time, because I feel
you trying to walk on the gold streets.
Yeah, because my name is.
And you trying to be in the many mansions.
Because he already prepared a place for me. Okay, and if it was not so, he would have told you.
Now you preaching.
So
we want to leave it to the viewers. Can you guys give us your feedback as far as if the car was burning,
and you got 3 kids,
and a husband or wife. Who you picking? Or if you was on a cruise and the boat flipped over,
who you saving?
The kids go in the water, the husband go in the water. In fact, your mom goes in the water or your grandmom goes in the water.
Or you could be like Rose from Titanic and just watch them drown when you could have scooted over and let them be on the board with you.
Who you picking? Give us some feedback. Let us know. We're going to respond to the comments.
Awesome episode. Thanks, guys. Bye. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Beyond the Grind.
Let's talk about it.